Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and we've got a bit of just a transfer live today, discussing all the transfer rumours. The window opens on the 1st of January, and there's lots of rumours swirling, as there always is this time of year. Big ones, as you can tell by the title, is Ross Barkley and maybe his return to Everton, and obviously Digne going the other way, which we sort of had a feeling would happen as well. And the prices involved and the teams involved in all of that. I've been quite vocal on the channel about Digne and my thoughts on him leaving. I said the other day, we'll end up letting him go for something silly like 20 odd million. We'll get into all of that later. And looks like I might be proven right, maybe even worse. But yeah, we'll get into all of that. We'll get into Ross Barkley and my thoughts on that, and your guys' thoughts as well in the stream. Obviously, I read as many of them out as I can. And we'll talk a little bit more about Mykolenko as well, who is coming. Supposedly, it's a done deal. I think Everton are just waiting to announce it. Don't know why they've not done it yet, but yeah, I don't know why they've not done it yet. And there's some other rumours today. There's quite an exciting winger with quite an ironic name linked with us, and stuff like that. So we'll diverge into all that. But first, welcome to everybody that's watching. So Semi's in, Jay Jones, Irwin's there, a couple of the regulars. I can see you've sort of had a discussion amongst yourselves, sort of discussing, I think you're discussing Ross Barkley in all of this. Tony Johnson started it right off with, I'll take Ross Barkley back. He's better than what we have at the minute. I did see this tweet before, and it was like, saying that rubbish is better than the rubbish we have is a very bleak point in supporting a football team. I will say this for Barkley, he's a number 10, and we don't have, he was when he was last out. I was like, he hardly plays for Chelsea, so I'm a little bit, I think he's more of an 8 now, but he was a number 10 originally, and that's something our team lacks, and something that Rafa Benitez, plays a formation that is essential that you have a good number 10, and he's sticking with that. He won't change it, but we don't have a number 10. So the formation is a bit... Jay Jones has put it here, though. Barkley's going backwards for me. We'll start off with Ross Barkley because that's the main one. Then we'll get into Digne because there's rumours he's a part of the deal as well. Which again is bleak. It's the fact that we could be saying goodbye to a really, really good player for somebody that isn't, in my opinion, a very good player anymore, and also has a lot of bad feeling with the club. And if you're gonna say stuff like that doesn't matter, look at the reception Rafa Benitez is getting now that he's having a rough time of it, and tell me it doesn't matter. If the fan base doesn't like you, you're going to have to go above and beyond to be liked. And in the same way as I don't think Rafa Benitez has the ability to turn that round, I don't think Ross Barkley has the ability to turn that round either. So I think he's up against it, a bit like Rafa Benitez, and I think in the same way it's going to end similar. It's going to end with a lot of fans angry, a lot of animosity, a lot more banners, a couple more protests. And even then, we'll get into it, but then even then, the change doesn't happen if those two weren't at the club. The change needs to go a lot higher, like the people who are actually choosing to have these people at the club. But yeah, in case anyone has missed it, there are rumours that and Digne, I think, is being used as a tool and a token in a lot of these, because a lot of big clubs are after him at the minute, and a couple of those big clubs we're after players from them. But there are, the rumours that Ross Barkley's coming to Everton. We are linked with a couple more number 10s. We're linked with Coutinho a couple of weeks ago, but it looks like, from what I've gathered, he might pick Arsenal. We're linked with Aaron Ramsey, who's not a number 10. Digne is supposedly could be used as a token in that transfer as well. And Everton are considering a loan move for Ross Barkley. It is only a loan move, which is what I'm sure some of you will say to me. It's only a loan move. Let's not lose our heads. I do think he's going to end up being used in the Digne deal because Chelsea have shown an interest. For me, I mean, he just... I don't know where to begin. He's gone backwards, in my opinion. Didn't performed well enough at Villa for Villa to want him. Hasn't performed well, and Tuchel, to be fair to him, has rotated a couple of times, and there are players now like Chalobah who weren't getting any time, a while like a couple of last season before, who are now getting games and are staking their claim into that team. So Tuchel's proven if you have the ability, he's not going to not pick you for the sake of superstars. And Ross Barkley still can't break into that Chelsea squad. I don't think he was very prominent when Frank Lampard was in charge of a transfer embargo either. Again, that should have been an easier time for him to break in. He's just not got a footballing brain at times. And if I remember rightly, as good as he was at moments, a lot of Everton fans at the time said that he wasn't like, he's not Steven Gerrard. He's not Lionel Messi. There were problems and criticisms with him then that a lot of fans had in his decision making, and he's not had nearly as enough game time to progress the way we'd hope. So I don't think we're going to be getting a player that is anywhere near the article that we thought he'd be when we left. And he did have a lot of potential when he left and when he was here. I thought he was going to be something special when he first broke out. And again, it's the way he left. That will stick with a lot of fans. So he's put, I can forgive Ross, just care more about whether he helps the club or not. That's the problem. I don't know if he does either. I don't know if he does. Some of the people we're linked with, though, are just, are questionable all over. He's not the only questionable player we're linked with at the minute. Irwin's put Bartley be awful, wasted talent, who dirtied the club, bin him off. That is a fair comment. That's one that I very much agree with. Charlie's put our left back is magic. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I don't think he'll be our left back much longer. And obviously, Chelsea are linked with him because Chilwell is now out for the rest of the season, which is a huge blow for Chilwell and Chelsea. But Chilwell's going to struggle if Luca Digne goes there to get back in. But I guess that's the Nats thing, isn't it? Alonso will go, and Digne will play for the next couple of years with Chilwell being rotated. And then when Digne goes, Chilwell would then hopefully be, ready to take that mantle. Charlie Greenway's put, I think Barkley had his time at our club and should look at different options. Also doesn't think I don't think he is match fit because he hasn't played. Yeah, I think that's another one as well. People's times at clubs being and gone. Barkley's, I think, has. And I have this horrible feeling that sometimes we've got this regressive attitude that, like, for every 2 steps forward, we are taking 4 backwards. And that's why, certainly since the Majiri era and just before that, we've not progressed, because for every 2 steps forward, there are 4 back, and eventually that will drag us. And it is dragging us. The new stadium is obviously the 2 steps, but every transfer deal coming in after that is like 4 steps backwards, in my opinion. Like Aaron Ramsey, he's a 4 steps backwards type of player for this squad. Philip Coutinho is a 4 steps backward type of player for this squad. Ross Barkley's 4 step backwards. You want players with a bit of fight and a bit of heart as well. And although Ross Barkley's not at the age of the Coutinhos and Aaron Ramseys of the world, I could not tell you right now that I think he'd fight for it in an Everton top, because he's gone on and proven that he doesn't have the club's interest at heart once. So I don't have the faith in him to prove that he has it again. But yeah, we'll get into more of that, because Luca Digne's not just linked with Chelsea. And I'm sure you guys will share your opinions on Ross Barkley. We did do a poll on the Toffee Blues Twitter. It was, would you have Ross Barkley back at Everton? 2,510 of you voted. 70% nope, 30% yes. And from what I've seen on the news rumour videos, because this isn't the first time Ross has been linked with us. I think he was linked in the summer. And on Twitter, when I was looking down the tweet that we tweeted from the Toffee Blues Twitter account as well, at Everton Newsfeed, go follow if you're not. But yeah, looking at some of the comments, the tweets replied to that, they were not very. None of them were quite nice. And the last time I checked, Ross Barkley still has his comments on Instagram, or he did for a very long time, either turned off, or so you could only do it if the person followed you, because he was getting rat emojis sent to him by a couple of fans as well. And like, that should be enough really, to indicate that he won't be welcome at the club. And if there's one thing that the club, the powers that be should know by now, if the fans don't want somebody, they are going to struggle. Benitez wasn't wanted. He's struggling. I still can't see him being the manager by next Christmas. I'm surprised. I think he's only lasted this Christmas because COVID has meant we haven't played in about a week or 2 weeks, which in the Christmas period is about 4 or 5 games. It's about 4 games, I think, we've missed now due to COVID-19 and teams just taking the mick. I think Newcastle are taking the mick a little bit with theirs and a couple of others. But yeah, so I don't think he'll be lasting very long, and I don't want him to lumber us with the likes of Ross Barkley, because nobody's going to take him back off us if we re-sign him and go, he's rubbish, get rid. Louis put, what's your thoughts on Nathan Patterson? Haven't seen a lot about him. I haven't watched him play, sorry. We were after him in the summer. Gerrard was being a bit funny, but he's no longer there, so that's no longer the problem. It's a position we really need. It's a bit of I don't know, it reminds me a bit of a Moise-esque signing. The fact that he's come from the Scottish League, could be quite a gem. Could also be, not very good, but he could be a gem. And for 10 mil, which Eugene McGeever's put is sort of touting, don't think that's the worst signing in the world. And it's a position we do need. Need that in a left back and to keep a Luca Digne, really. But I'd take Patterson. He's, then we've got him, Coleman, and then we got John Joe Kenny, who will probably go out the door if we signed another right back, you'd think. So he's put, given Digne's age, injuries, and declining things, seems a bit good bit of business to move him on. I'm going to respectfully disagree. Purely on the fact that I believe the rumours are we're going to accept 25 million or potentially even accepting a loan move for him, which means it's another year off his contract and he'll go for like 10 next season or 15. For me, that's silly when it's a player that's still very, very good. And like the fact that we're on about getting rid of him for as little as 25 and all the teams involved in wanting him, bearing in mind he's meant to be not very good, not had a couple of good seasons. Inter Milan are interested, Chelsea are interested. These aren't rubbish teams. This isn't Villa. No offense to Villa. That was actually quite, but like they're not mid-table teams. They're not lower table teams. They're big clubs that will give him a chance to win trophies. Like the champions of Europe are after him. That should be enough of an indication. He must be quite good because the champions of Europe don't go buying any old rubbish other than probably Barkley. You just got to look at it like when if it was a bunch of Villas, Norwiches, and stuff like that, I'd be like, yeah, it's a sideways move. Let's get some money for him. Or a Newcastle. If it was Newcastle offering like 40 million, I'd be like, sell him. That's a downsizing move and it's good money. But 25 million to the champions of Europe, or even loaning him. If we loan him to another Premier League club, if we loan him or he's swapped for Ross Barkley, that will be borderline final steps for me. Not just with Rafa or just the state of the club, in all honesty. And that means the powers that be, including Majiri, because I think in the whole Rafa season, I think it's highlighted more that he's the decision maker and he's got to get them right now, because I don't think the new stadium is going to cover all his mistakes anymore. And for me, he is just as much holds a blame as the others on that board do. Because Iwobi was supposedly is, and there's been a couple of other times he's pulled rank and it's not worked. And he's a billionaire, so fair play to him. He must know something, because you don't become you do if you're lucky or you're born into it. But, if he's a billionaire businessman, you tend to think they've got a bit of brains. Doesn't mean you're a football businessman. Leave football to football experts. Charlie Greenway's put, if Digne goes, the board have messed up due to sending Nkunku out on loan. It's silly. It is. And that's the other problem. Nkunku goes out on loan, and then we've got just Mykolenko. And what happens if the poor lad, we did a video that's coming out soon on him with a lad who is a Ukrainian English football journalist, follows them very well. Gave me a lot of insight. One problem he said was he's going to have to adapt to the physicality of the Prem. It moves quicker than the Ukrainian league, and he plays for the top club in the Ukraine. So every other team against them is on a low compact block. so he doesn't get much freedom there, which is another why it was hard to judge him really, because he's playing in a league where everyone's, you know, two banks of 4-4-2, low block, trying to stop him meandering down the side. But he said it'll take him a while to get up to the physicality, and if he pushes himself too hard, then he, you know, tears something. There's 6-12 months maybe, depending on his recovery rate, out, and we're playing Fabian Delph or Ben Godfrey at left back for the rest of the season and a bit. And then it looks really, I mean, that is hindsight. Someone's going to put, you know, that's hindsight 2020, but, you know, it could happen. You got to keep your eyes open to this. Remember how unlucky we were with Shabamin. You know, it's not past the realms of possibility that a new signing could get injured and we never see him again. Eugene's put thoughts on Newcastle and Everton being cancelled tomorrow night because of COVID. I think Charlie's hit it on the head just below you. I think they've cancelled the game because there's players more because of the injuries they have than the COVID cases, which is naughty. And I think teams are now being accused by journalists, and I think there's some truth in it, of manipulating the ruling and getting games cancelled. Just because, not because of they're out because of COVID, but because they've got other injuries and they're a bit storm, which is causing more problems. And the more games are getting called off left, right, and centre, they either need to change the rule again, or have a break or something. I don't know if a break's completely the answer, but there's games not being played now, you know, and they're gonna have to fit those games back in. I know Burnley have got 4 games in hand as well on the teams near them. We've got 4 games, and it starts getting messy as well because you've got teams that haven't played for a week and have had a week rest, especially because of this period, playing into teams that played on Tuesday and they're playing again now on a Friday or a Saturday. So you start getting, you know, the Klopps of the world going, well, they've had the week's rest, and you know, my players haven't, and they're going the AFCON soon or whatever. I think the AFCON's been cancelled now, but yeah, so I think they need to rechange the rule and look at it again. I don't think it could be used for injuries. I don't think it should be used for injuries. For COVID, completely understandable. Not for the fact you're injured. We had a lot of lads out injured against Chelsea, and we had to play the under-21s and the youth. And I saw someone else say this: a lot of under-21 teams playing like the St. John's Trophy. So if they're playing in that, how are they not ready to fill in gaps here and there in the Premier League? And also, Leicester, for example, called our game off, but then played in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. Like, I think it was literally like 6 days later. They have the players if they need to put them in there. Obviously, they didn't want to get the forfeit, so they found the players. But with the Premier League saying, you know, that you can just have your games cancelled, teams are taking that route instead of, you know, finding them. It's one of them. Like they have youth, they have under-18s, they have under-21s. Chelsea have like 20 odd players out on loan most seasons. It once you give them the ultimatum of all right, then a forfeit, you tend to find the clubs somehow find the players. But yeah, Semi Charles put, well, naturally, I think we need to get a good amount for Digne, not suggesting we shift him for a pack of crisps. No, yeah, I completely understand what you mean, mate. I'm just saying the rumours of the price or the deals involved with him aren't giving me much confidence, which unfortunately is the running of the club. But no, I agree with what, like I said, if like Newcastle were going to offer us like 40 million for him, 35, I'd be a little bit tempted at 35, 40. I would probably, at his age of 28, 29, I would probably say that's a very, you know, maybe too good to turn down. I completely get what you're saying. The rumours, now I know the price being rumoured, it's a bit of a no for me. It was a no anyway, but like that's a definite, you know, final nail, definitely a no. Philip Mason's put, sorry, I'm late. I don't want Ross back. He's a traitor and a snake. Yeah, and I imagine many, well, no, I know for a fact many other fans agree with you, Philip. We read out a poll before, and 70% on the poll said they don't want Ross Barkley at Everton at all. And when I looked at the comments underneath it, it was pretty much the same stuff. I'd mentioned, you know, his Instagram had, you know, settings where people couldn't comment because he was getting the rat emoji for so long. Charlie's, but going off what other brands wanted, young and up and coming, Majiri wanted players in their prime, so now Majiri's more to blame. Yeah, and I wouldn't mind, but is Aaron Ramsey and Coutinho in their prime? I would beg to differ, no. But yeah, that is what I heard, and I'd quite like up and coming players, young. You could sell them on for a profit, but I think until something extreme, like maybe it hurts their back, their wallet a little bit more, I think we're gonna have the same sort of thing. Charlie's put, don't think injuries should count with the COVID matter thing. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think you should be counting injuries in with the COVID thing. I think they should be seen as two separate items. I think they're getting taken advantage of. Keith's put, Barkley on loan's fine, more mature player than when he left. Sucks, but if he scores goals and gets assists, you would welcome him with open arms. We need depth, he helps. Yeah, I mean, on loan isn't as bad as buying him, 100%. I said that before. But like I said, it's a bit like the Rafa situation. It's an uphill battle. He wasn't liked. He would have to do really, really well to be liked. Same with Ross Barkley. You say about a couple of goals and assists, but he'd have to really, really put in a shift. And I've not seen anything from his time at Chelsea, or more importantly, his time at Villa, to suggest that he has the ability to turn this around. It's not impossible. Like you said, goals and assists, and things start to change, but I don't think he has the ability to put in the amount that he'll need to get that back. Eugene's put, I think January will be a quiet one next month. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure about financial fair play still. I don't know if we're still shackled by it as much as we were. But I will have to wait and see. I mean, we were linked. Another player we've been linked with today is, and the source is UOL Esporta, which I believe could be Brazilian, Portuguese. They said that we're interested in Benfica forward Everton, which is quite funny that it'd be like Everton scored for Everton. A useful little player, quite skillful. He's not bad. Depending on the price, he's a lot younger. He's not a 29-year-old that is on his way out of football. And he's a bit older. He's more in your prime. So like when Charlie mentions about in your prime players, this one I will agree is a bit more in the prime years of his career. And he plays as a left winger, but I think he can also play on the right, which is somewhere we need. He's 25. I would welcome this transfer more. I've liked him for a while. He's had a bit of a buzz since his Gramiro days, so I'd welcome this transfer that little bit more than a couple of the other players linked. Coutinho, I think, is just, we'll go through all of them, so we might as well start with Coutinho. That one, don't think we should be touching that, not because of his Liverpool links, purely because injuries. And when he does get injuries, they're not like 1 week he sprained his ankle. They normally tend to be a couple of weeks of a year. And bearing in mind, James Rodriguez struggled with fitness, and that annoyed some parts of the fan base. Coutinho, I can't see being an awful lot different. And I believe he has fully said, Arsenal is where he wants to go, which is, I mean, it's fair enough if Arsenal want to take that sort of gamble. And he'll be good replacement for Odegaard, because Odegaard can't play all the minutes in the world for Arsenal. So it'd be good rotation for Odegaard. Then more power to them. But I personally don't want him at Everton. We've got to steer clear of big names on an older age that'll take big wages. You know what I mean? It's not like we're buying a Messi or Ronaldo. We're buying a Philip Coutinho, who's not been good for a couple of years now. It's a bit like a Gareth Bale type link. I think we've been linked with him before now, and we'll probably be linked with him again. Isco, there's another name we're always linked with. Got to stop buying Barcelona and Real Madrid players after a certain age. I'm surprised we're not giving Marcelo a bell for the left back position. I think he's had a contract in the summer, so surprised we're not giving him a bell. But looking at it now, Charlie's put, I'm going to watch a footy type. I don't know, mate. I also don't know who's playing tonight. I might do. I'll have a look later. But it depends. It depends if we can bother. I've enjoyed watching it the last couple of nights. Obviously, Everton haven't been playing. So it's nice to watch as a neutral without that impending doom behind you. But saying that, though, by the time we do play again, I'll be looking forward to it. It'll be a nice little break. And I'll be looking forward to seeing, Dominic Calvert-Lewin should be back by then. The club did a TikTok the other day that I saw on Twitter. saying that he's fully fit. He's fully fit and ready to return. So I'm excited to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin come back in, and I hope, as much as I don't like the manager, I don't want it to hinder the club. My hatred to hinder the club. I hope that him being back massively boosts us, and I think it will. And I'm hoping we have that good second season that Benitez has been promising us. It's Chelsea Brighton tonight, isn't it? And City Brentford. I might watch a bit of Chelsea Brighton, and if it's good, keep that on. If not, I'll probably watch City Brentford, because I think that could be quite a high scoring game. So that should be quite entertaining to watch. I didn't watch the Leicester game the other night, so I've missed Lutman's goal, but I've heard that was good. Charlie's put, I'll take Everton, to be honest. We've been linked before. Semi's put, Everton scored for Everton. Brilliant. Yeah, it's one of them. It's going to really, and like, to be fair, we could just do the Everton chant, and it could support the team and the player. It's a bit of a two birds, one stone. But we have been linked with Everton before. This isn't the first time I've seen this rumour, obviously, because I do the 24/7 videos with all the news, all that's transfer rumours. And this isn't the first time I've seen Everton linked with us. But yeah, every time I do, I get a bit, not excited, because you shouldn't get your hopes up for stuff like that. But sometimes I get a bit, get a bit like, that'd be brilliant. But I thought that about Luis Diaz, and I don't think we'll get him now. Semi's put, we were linked with in the summer with Koulibaly too. Yeah, Koulibaly would have been a really good centre back to pick up in the summer. He's a very imposing player, isn't he? I think he's got the physical physique to handle the Premier League as well. It reminds me sort of like a Van Dijk-esque player, where they're just a very big, broaded person. A bit like what you'd want from your centre-back, really. Someone strong, aerially very good, and can tackle well as well. And from what I've seen of Koulibaly, he's got a little bit, not as much as he did a couple of years ago, but he's still got a bit of pace in him as well. It's not like you've stuck Vestergaard there, he's got a bit of pace about him. But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Charlie's put, there's another one. Why would we let go of him? Is that Lookman? I don't know if you're on about Lookman there, but it was interesting to see, because obviously Lookman scored, and I think Blazic scored the day before that for West Ham. So someone made a joke, Steve Walsh must be sat at home with a massive grin on his face. Both very, Lookman, I thought had a lot of potential. I think depending on how it goes at Leicester, it could, I think he's sort of gone into a Damari Gray sort of area of really good when they were first young, showed a lot of promise. Their careers have they went out to Germany, both of them haven't shone in Germany. Now have come back to the Prem, a little bit older, a little bit wiser. And I think they're both in the same way of like, for them, it's now or never. Let's sort of make our stamp. So it'd be interesting to see how Lookman does. But I always liked him when he was at us. I thought he was. I did think he had a habit of running backwards sometimes, but every time he ran with a bit of pace, a bit of skill. A bit like, if anyone watches Newcastle, when St. Maxim gets the ball, you just know he's going to do something. He runs forward with an intent. And whenever Lookman had the ball, he did run backwards sometimes, but he ran with an intent when he was running backwards. And for me, a bit of intent was enough. And Blazic, I always thought was a good player. He just wasn't getting the game time, and ultimately that sorted him out. Didn't it? He wasn't happy with his game time. He was very vocal on the fact he wasn't happy about his game time. And when you start speaking out, he was always going to go. And to be fair, I mean, he's done all right at CSKA before he went to West Ham. I think he'll do well at West Ham under Moyes, though. I think he'll do really well. But yeah, another one we've got is the Mykolenko, which I've said about, and we have got a video coming out about him. So I don't want to spoil too much by telling you all the stuff that I've heard about him now. Otherwise you won't watch the video. But he sounds okay. He's not Luca Dean, and I don't think he will be Luca Dean. So sort of don't look at him with those, like, sort of with that sort of hope. But he sounds hardworking. He sounds a little bit more retention. So Yeah, so maybe we keep the ball a little bit better down that left side with him. But it was, like I said, the lad that did say, who joined me, that it was tough because he plays for the best team in his league. So every opponent was sort of part the bus style of play. So it's a bit hard to show your forward-thinking football if all your opponents, are sat back on their own, on the edge of their own box, doing all they can to keep you away, sort of thing. So, well, I think he's one of them. We'll have to judge him once he's in an Everton top, and then make our judgments on him then, because it's a new league as well, and the style of play is very different in those two leagues from what I'm hearing. But yeah, fingers crossed we see a bit of a better player from him. If the price is right, it could be a little bit of a steal. That was the other question. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, which I'm really trying my best not to give away too much. But the lad said it was probably a fair price, but it could be a steal. It like literally is just hindsight sort of thing. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I also want to say now, because I forgot, and I can't believe I forgot, but Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas, and I hope you all have a good New Year. But yeah, like I said, we've got Coutinho as well, who's linked, and Aaron Ramsey. I'd love to know some of your thoughts on Ramsey, because that one for me, he's one that, like Charlie said, Everton's been linked with us a couple of times. There's a couple of players that we just can't shake the rumours of, and Coutinho's another one. But Aaron Ramsey, I was talking about Aaron Ramsey in the summer when I started on the channel, and it's been like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and we're still talking about Aaron Ramsey, which is mental. It's absolutely mental. I think it's been about 6 months, hasn't it? And the rumours aren't going away. Obviously, his contract's up at the end of the season. But I said the other day, last week, that's big money that he might be coming for. It was like, I think it worked out like 24 million, 25 million in just wages. And for me, that's a bit of a no. Also, on the Luis Diaz news, there's a tweet yesterday saying Liverpool are now interested in him and want to tie that up as soon as possible. In the winter, Porto will sell him if they pay his clause of 80 million euros. It can be reduced to about 50 to 60 million euros. So watch this space. I mean, Liverpool are supposedly linked with him, but the last couple of seasons they've not been splashing the money. And also always take it with a pinch of salt, because they've been a favourites to sign Mbappe for the last 5 years supposedly. So take it with a pinch of salt there. But yeah, it looks like we might miss out on Luis Diaz, because I don't think we've got 50 to 60 million with us, which is a massive, massive shame. It really is a massive shame, because he's sod's law. Since we've been linked with him, he's had an even better season. It was a bit like Dumfries, linked with him before the Euros, had an all right Euros, went to Inter Milan. So that's another tough one. I think I hope he doesn't go to Liverpool, because it'd be tough to look at him and go, what we could have had, as he's putting goals past us in the derby. That'd be too much for me. But yeah, I'll read a couple more of your comments, and we've got some more rumours. Surprised Inky's not in the chat. Normally Inky has quite a lot of transfer rumours as well. Normally I've got them in abundance. Mitchell's put rather have Ramsey than Longstaff. Longstaff. I completely forgot about him. Thank you for that reminder. He's also linked with us quite a lot, isn't he? And Semi Charles put Mbappe, get him in. I think I was having this debate with someone the other day. I think he's going to Madrid. Personally, I think Madrid have done everything they can to tap him up without tapping him up. And I think he's going to go to them on a Bosman, which is mental. One of the best young players in the world going to a club on a Bosman is crazy. We are supposedly interested in a right winger in Dejan Kulusevski. I'm going to say that is. Kulusevski. Well, and he's at Juventus. Should they decide to sell him, that's come from Sky Sports. It's us and Arsenal interested in that. A little bit of an older player, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's like 28 or 27. Oh gosh, no, I've got the wrong player. He is 21. I can't remember who I'm getting him confused with, who played on the right for Juventus, who was quite old. Bernadeschi, I'm getting him confused with Bernadeschi. That's my mistake. I'd be a lot happier for this. 21 years old, right wing. He's meant to be quite a good player. So this would be a better one. It's a position we need. Will Isherwood's put, I'd take Kulu. Yeah, that's a player we need in a position we need. Can't depend on Andros Townsend forever, can we? I would be open to that. Whether it happens or not, like I said, Arsenal are involved. So there's competition already. And as much as Arsenal are a bit weird in the fact that they go on like a 10-game run where they're undefeated, then they get beat by us, and then it's, some days you watch Arsenal and you look at the results and you go, oh, there's something there. And then some days you watch them and you think, God, how did these go 10 undefeated? Like, geez. But it is in London, and that is still a massive draw for a lot of players. We also had the news that Fabrizio saying Roma are offering a 6-month deal for Maitland-Niles with around 10 million as an option. Jose wants him, and the player's open to accept. Negotiations are still ongoing with Arsenal to reach an agreement on the loan fee, buy option, and final price. Arteta's done us a bit dirty there. If he's said no to us all summer just to let him go to Roma, he's done us a bit dirty there. It's a shame. I used to, it's a bit tough because I used to really like Arteta when I was younger. Him and Tim Cahill were like my two favourite players for us. And then the deadline day happened, and Arteta I lost a lot of respect for. But yeah, so no right back in terms of Maitland-Niles, which means I think Patterson will have to be our main option, unless we look at that lad from Antwerp again. But he's the rumours on him have gone dead. I think he was more of a panic, and a panic that we decided just not to take. But we'll have to keep our eyes on that, because that just means it's mainly Patterson we're linked with. Semi-Chard's put, another concern is improving enough to encourage Richie to stick around. DCL2, our talisman. And Phillips put, it's a shame our academy's rubbish. We should be churning out decent players. Yeah, that's my biggest problem. Worry. I can't believe Richarlison or DCL are going to stick around for another season of finishing 10th again, or 10th to 8th. I think they need to be playing in Europe. I mean, I think both of them have the potential and the talent now that they could be playing in the Champions League or the Europa League. But even if we've got the conference, which looking at some of the teams that get in that, we should be under, I'm going to say this now, under Moise, if the conference was around, we'd have been in that when we were finishing 6th, 7th, and we'd have done all right in that. That's at the bare minimum with the money we've spent. That's the bare minimum that we should be really aiming at, is the conference. I know obviously the Prem, all the teams around us are getting better year on year, which is a major problem for us. But we, at the bare minimum, we should be trying to push for that. And if we got in it, there's a bare minimum, we should be getting to the quarters of that, looking at the teams that go in there. Unless we, unless we got one of the, Europa dropouts who shouldn't have been there, or another Premier League club like a Tottenham, which on our day we could beat, but we should be aiming for that. That's, don't want to say winnable, but that's a good competition, and that would keep players around. I think Richarlison, if PSG come sniffing this summer, will push his way out in the most respectful way. I don't think he'll do it, in a horrible way, because he seems like a really nice person. But at the end of the day, he's got to think of his career. He'll want to win trophies. DCL the same. Aiden's put here, DCL stick around. In the same way, Richie can't until the big offer comes. Same as Richie, and you can't blame them. You can't blame them. They want to win stuff. They don't want to finish 10th and be in the mess that we're in right now, where, It's just all an absolute shambles. They don't want to be around that. And you can't blame them. They want to be at proper football clubs that are, not the PSG have ran. I've heard PSG have ran quite. I've heard the staff there burn out quite quickly, and it's not the best place to work. But the Chelseas or the Arsenal, not Arsenal, but the bigger clubs that get Europe, they'll want to play there, and they'll want to play in those teams. With PSG, I think Richarlison as well. He really likes Neymar and looks up to him, and they've got quite a good relationship. Obviously, a couple of years ago they were tweeting each other, and we all got a little bit like, oh, Neymar to Everton. So it's the chance to play with Neymar, who I think is probably like, I wouldn't say his hero, but I bet he looks up to him with a lot of admiration. Semis put, sadly we were nicked by QPR. Yeah, that's the other worry. I think sometimes we do well in that, and then I'm like, QPR literally have kicked us out there, and Huddersfield gave us a good fight as well. Wormy's put, nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. We're discussing every transfer rumour under the sun. We've done Barkley, we've done Ramsey, Coutinho. We're on about Kuleveski now. I think. And Maitland-Niles is basically a no-go, which is quite a shame. But again, that was one of them, isn't it? Didn't get him in the summer. Now he's gone to a club, so we're not going to get him. Another rumour we've got, and this is an actual outgoing rumour, so a bit of money in the club's pocket, is Newcastle are interested in Mason Holgate. That's come via Sky Sports. This one, I'm in favour of. I quite like this. If the money's right, and Newcastle, I think, are going to do what we did when we first got money and scattergun it up the wall. And if we're one of the people that benefit from them scattergunning the money, I'm all for it. Holgate, I think we've given him enough time now, and we've been quite patient with him. And he's still he sometimes he'll have a good game. I think he had a good game against, was it Chelsea? Was it the game before that? He'd had a good game, and people were saying, he looked good for the minutes he came on and played. But then he makes rash challenges, and just he comes out too prematurely, too eagerly, which is fine when you're a young lad. But he's been in the team long enough now. He's been around the first team long enough that you sort of lose making those mistakes as an excuse now. You should really be a bit more mature in all of that. But yeah. That's my thoughts on it. If we can get a good amount of money for Mason Holgate, I'd take 15 to 20 million for it. See, that's where the Digne thing will upset me, because we're looking at 25 million, and I would say I would take 15 to 20 for Holgate and be happy. Luca Digne is not worth 10 million more than Holgate. He's worth a lot more than that. But yeah. That's just my thoughts on it. I mean, we've got some more here that Everton are willing to loan him out with an option to buy. Chelsea, Napoli, and Inter Milan, all better clubs, champions of Europe. Inter Milan, fantastic team in Italy. Napoli, regularly get European spots. All on our left back that we're happy to ship out on loan as a bare minimum, with an option to buy, and the price being tagged around 25 million. And I can't believe, the rumours are it's the manager type thing, and Xabi Alonso will probably vouch that this has happened to him. It's just silly. We're bending over backwards for a man that I don't think will be there in a year's time. And it's just, there's only so much cutting off of your face, of your nose before you spite your face. For me, some of you will disagree, maybe, but for me, it's getting very bleak at Everton, and it makes you wonder how much more is going to happen. If for instance, if Richarlison said he didn't like the style of play at Everton, is that him next to go if he falls out with the manager? That's the only other problem I have with it as well. I don't think anyone's safe. I think if anyone falls out of him, he'll force them out. Will Isherwood's put Chelsea are pretty much robbing us with that Digne transfer. Yeah, they are. They are. Champions of Europe, but he's not good enough for us, and he's going to go for a loan deal and 25 million. Absolute robbery, in my opinion. you've also Will's also put 10 to 15 million for Mason Holgate will do. Mason Holgate will do. Yeah, that'd be a decent amount. Just gives us a bit more leeway as well. We'll probably take that 10 to 15 and put that straight in the Patterson deal, which again is a position we need. I'd be very happy for that. That's taking money and putting it in spending it wisely, in my opinion. And I'd be very, very happy with that. Speaking of Digne and deals, Juventus and Everton could do a swap deal. Aaron Ramsey on loan until the end of the season, which then he'll become a free agent and we'll probably offer him something. And Luca Digne to Juventus. That might be a bigger robbery than the Chelsea one. Luca Digne going to Juventus and us getting Aaron Ramsey would be a bigger robbery. What on earth would we do with Aaron Ramsey? You can't play left back for a major one. And he'd last 2 minutes in the Premier League before the more physical teams, and there's nothing wrong with it, but the likes of Burnley put in a tackle, and there's his hamstring torn, and there's 2 years out, and he joins Shabamin, sitting on the bench, and the Everton castaways of injuries. It just, that would be a bigger highway robbery. And I don't think Aaron Ramsey's really would suit Benitez ball. It's very long, hoof the ball, don't spend too much time on the ball. Ball carrying maybe a little bit we've seen from Decore, and I don't think Ramsey's that. I think he's more your playmaker, but I don't know, maybe Benitez wants him. I think that might be a Majiri type of transfer, though. It's got whiffs of Majiri all about it, that has. And that Chia, the football agent, got whiffs of him about it, that as well. And he's been involved with Arsenal, as both of them have. Has got whiffs of them too, the pair of them. Obviously, again, like I said, Chelsea is the main rumour, and I think he'll probably go to Chelsea because, Chilwell, is wanted, is injured, sorry. And do you know what? Chelsea's probably, when he was first rumoured, a couple of us that do the channel were talking, and we were like, Chelsea's probably one he'd suit the most. He wouldn't go to a City, I don't think, because I think he's better if he has someone to aim for. And I tell you what, watching Luca Digne cross the ball into Romelu Lukaku to finish home will be a really, really tough to see. I will probably stop watching the likes of Match of the Day because I just won't want to see that. Probably block the words Romelu Lukaku, Luca Digne on Twitter because I don't want to see that type of combination while we're sat there with Fabian Delph at left back because that Mykolenko's been injured, and Solomon Rondon up front. I won't be entertaining that type of punishment to myself. Inter Milan are the other club, and again a loan deal. I guess that might be, I don't know, COVID transfers but again, loan deals again. It's mental. We've got a French international. This has come from Gazzetta, Italy. Got a French international, and we're sort of like, do you want to take him out on loan? You'd be doing us a massive favour, which Paddy Boylan tweeted, and I have to agree with him. And I think Sean Lunt had tweeted, all these clubs interested in the top clubs. Yet, from what we hear, Luca Digne's the problem and needs to go. It's just like Semi, and I do agree with what Semi said. If the price was a good price at his age, you could think about maybe cashing now before it's too late. And I completely agree with Semi. The only problem is this is Everton, and it doesn't look like we're going to get the price that we want. And he's under contract till 2025, so it's like he's got 4 years left. You shouldn't be selling a French international, a first teamer, still a good player for that little money, who's still got 4 years on his contract. And he's not 30, I think Digne is 28, 29, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've some of these player age. He is 28. I was gonna say some of these player ages though I've been getting a bit west on, but yeah, that's prime years for a left back. It's mad. It's truly mad. Fabrizio also tweeted out saying Digne's camp are prepared to leave Everton now. Again, that'll be the Benitez freezing out. Dest is appreciated, but Chelsea haven't gone for him. Tagliafico was suggested by them. That was a couple of weeks ago though. Nothing's happened. They were going to recall Palmieri or Matson as plan B because they have got a lot of players out on loan, Chelsea, which is mad that the COVID thing when Chelsea literally have an academy out on loan. But it looks like, that looks like the Digne deal is good then. As long as they can agree personally, I think that's a done deal. And Digne's camp look ready to go. I think that is all but done. So, yeah. And just in case any of you were, wondering, just to add on to the pain, only Trent Alexander-Arnold with 240 has completed more crosses than Luca Digne over the who's got 217 over the last 4 years of the Premier League campaign, which isn't bad for a player who supposedly has been rubbish since his first season. That's not a bad. And bear in mind, Everton has always been, even before when the days of Pienaar and Baines, have always been a wing play, full-back wing play, partnership, crosser of the ball style of play. When we got him, I thought he suited us very well. I don't want to write off Mykolenko because it's a cruel thing to do to a young lad who's coming into the Prem. It's his big move. But from what I've gathered, his crossing isn't as good as Digne's, and that's sort of I think that's a change in guard at Everton, having a left back that isn't a good crosser and a good going forward and more of a ball retention. I think that's a bit of a change in the guard for me. I can't remember the last time we had a left back like that. Even our rotation, like Oviedo used to bomb forward. So even our rotation players were, still of that. Don't forget, guys, to like the stream as well. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We are so close to 10K and it's massive. And we really, really do appreciate everything all of you do, all your viewers, commentators, likers of videos and live stream joiners. Michael Tyson is, but Delph's absolute 100% rubbish. And he's still at the club. Pardon me, I just had to have a drink. He's still at the club, and I think he will be our backup left back for probably this season. I mean, he will probably leave the club on a free. I think that's the only way Fabian Delph leaves the club, is on a free. Rob's put, we need money. Why are we letting players go out on loan? Yeah, that's the other one. That don't forget, Moise Kean's still out on loan. I don't think we get the money for him till next season, or we might get the money now or something. But he's still out on loan as well. When I think we would have liked to sell him this summer. He's also doing okay out on loan, but we won't get into that because I think that's more than just Everton. We had Ancelotti and there was issues, and if you're not going to play for the likes of Ancelotti, then we're going to have issues, aren't we? I think he just wanted to stay in Italy, in all honesty, and that deal seems silly. We bought him from a club that he left because he was racially abused, wasn't he? And then Bonucci was silly, and then we bought him for a fair bit amount of money. Spent a season out on loan, played a little bit, and then we've sold him. Well, sent him out on loan and sold him back. We might as well have just done a 2-year loan deal with Juventus, 18-month loan deal, because we've ended up in the exact same spot we were before he came. Michael Tyson, not a fan of Mason Holgate, wouldn't get a shirt at Marine or Blackpool. Blackpool would probably take him, but I know what you mean. He's too rash for me. It was all right when he was 21. And he was coming into the team, but he gets regular football now, and for that, I'd like to see a bit more of a level-headed shoulders. He's 25 now. The excuse of he's a young lad is running out. You should really have a calm head. Semi's put Gerard Deulofeu putting some lovely crosses. He actually scored a worldie of a free kick as well the other day. Really knuckleball, not from far out, but like the knuckleball swerve that he had on it. Really impressive. Gerard Deulofeu, I used to have such fond memories of. I absolutely loved him. I blame Koeman for him leaving, and didn't like Koeman from that day on, which is probably the other thing with Digne. If the Benitez rumours are true, I'm not his biggest fan, and I always say that to you guys. I don't hide that. If he pushes Digne out, he's never going to regain my support. That'll be it. Koeman never got it once he saw the likes of Gerard Deulofeu out, so imagine if you send our best left back out. Rob said, saying about Digne crosses ain't been the best for a while, even when he's taking corners. I must admit, the set pieces I'm a little bit disappointed at, corners being the operative one. But you'd be surprised, Rob, how many football players on 200 to 300k a week can't beat the first man in a corner. I mean, it's not just a Digne thing. I know what you mean, but like, you'd be amazed at how many footballers can't do it. It blows my mind, and it blows a lot of people's mind on the internet. I know, whenever they don't, you see it clipped, don't you, on Twitter, going, can't even beat the first man, and then they normally share how much he's earned, supposedly. Dennis here has put it as well. Dennis, I'm going to pronounce that Qualude. He said, yeah, Rob, his dead ball play has been poor this season. Got took off free kicks too. His set piece play has been poor. I'm not blind to it. That is a problem that we've been having with him. Southern Blue Dino's put, I like Lucas a lot, but he hasn't played well under Rafa or Carlo the past 2 years. Maybe it's bad injury he got, sad to say. But if we can get 25 million, I'd take it. So 25 million is too little for me. I think under Carlo, he was a bit better than he has been under Rafa. I will admit, under Rafa, it's not been brilliant for him. But again, that's where the problems lie here. I think no one's confirmed it, but I think he's the player who complained about the style of play holding him back. And it does hold him back. And now we're getting a fullback that's better at retaining the ball, which proves that, Digne's not a Benitez player, and Benitez isn't a Digne type of manager. They're just not going to work, are they? Dennis has put Golovin. I'd like Golovin. We're linked with him. I think we were linked with him about who haven't we been linked with in the world of football. We were linked with him a couple of weeks ago because we were linked with him at the same time we were linked with Bamba from Lille. And again, apparently Lille have money issues, so they are looking to get players out. I'd take Bamba. I'd take Golovin. I'd take Ikone from Lille. I mean, Renato Sanchez I'd probably take from Lille. Jonathan David I'd defo take from Lille. I mean, if Lille have got Selig, Selig's okay. I didn't think he did well at the Euros, but that Turkish team, I don't know why they were seen as dark horses. That's probably the worst shout, is that they were seen as dark horses. I think it's because Lille had just won the league and Yilmaz was up front for them as well, and people had got a bit carried away by that and a couple of names that were playing at big clubs. But that goes to show you need a team, not a team of players that play well together, not superstars. But Golovin I'd quite like. He's a good attacking midfielder, can play centre mid as well if you need him. And he's a number 10, and they can play number 10, and we need that. If we're going to stick with the 4-4-1-1, we need someone behind the striker who can play in that 10 role with a bit of creativity as well. I think that's something we really need. Someone who's got creativity but can also take a shot. We wouldn't be, opposed to someone who could play that, that killer ball, but could also just whack it, and it, 9 times out of 10 is going to hit it. Saying that Damari Gray's long shots at this point have really improved. Rob's put, if it was me, I would get Ward-Prowse. However you spell it, dead balls are broken. Yeah, Ward-Prowse, how he's still at Southampton, I don't know. Fantastic player. Would love for us to get him. His set pieces, how he didn't get in the England squad, by the way, him and Calvert-Lewin would have been an absolute combination in the Euros this summer. But alas, they weren't. Both of them didn't get the game time they deserved, I don't think. But Ward-Prowse I do really like. I think Southampton have done really, really well to keep hold of him. I think they've done really well to do that. And I think when he goes, I think almost they've done well to keep him, but they don't spend a lot of money, Southampton. And I can't help but think keeping him might be hindering them just a little bit now. And I know that sounds silly to say, but in the fact that if they sold him for big money, they could invest it. But I guess it's one of them, isn't it? Do you really want to sell someone like Ward-Prowse? But Steve K's put, Barkley has been loaned more than my house, done nothing. When he was at Villa last season, I watched a couple of their games just because, it was the games were on BBC and stuff, weren't they? And we were, on a bit more accessible for people to watch. So I was watching a lot of games just because there was nothing on telly. And I must admit, the only time I watched Barkley and thought, God, he's having a good game. And again, he could have done better. He should have scored a lot more. It was against Liverpool when they got beat 7-2. But he should have scored a couple more in that game. He took everything on his left. Inky's joined us now. Not a fan of Barkley. Inky, I did mention you before. I was like, normally you've got a couple of transfer rumours up your sleeve. And that's what we're discussing as well. We're just discussing a couple of transfer rumours. I'm sure you've got a couple up your sleeve to share with us. Or any players you quite like the look of. I'm sure you've got. Southern Blue Dino's put, apart from Holgate and Digne, who else is going out? Tosin and Delph. I don't think Delph is. Delph will see his contract out of the club. Tosin will see his contract out of the club. Was rumoured to be leaving to go Besiktas. Has decided he wants to stay and fight, which means I'll just earn some more money and go on a free in the summer, lads. Sorry, lads, I've got a dry throat. Will's put, what are your thoughts on us signing Everton from Benfica? I really like that. I really like it. I think he's a very good player. The right age as well. 25. I think he could be. I think he could be good. He's fast. He can play on the right as well, which is something we need. He can play on the right or the left, so it gives us that little bit of freedom. Because again, Damari Gray could play on the right and left, so it just makes them interchangeable. I hope we push on with Everton, but I feel like he'll be like a Bamba, where we're rumoured with him, but we won't see him in an Everton's top, unfortunately, or Luis Diaz. Inky's put Tosin, Delph, Digne, Holgate, possibly Shabamin in a swap deal for Gomez. Are they just players you want out? I mean, a couple of Shabamin needs something, doesn't he? Either a loan or he just needs something. I have the feeling that he's done. I have the feeling he's done, and not just at Everton and at a top club. I think he'll probably go to like a mid-table club now and not in England, sort of thing. He might go back to Germany. But yeah, I feel like that fella's just got awful luck. I can't help but feel sorry for him. Southern Blue Dinos agrees that a loan deal would be good for him. There we go, Inky. He's put, we're looking at the Iranian guy from Zenit. Leon won him, but won't pay the release clause of 2.5 million, something like 62 goals in 104 appearances. Won't pay 2.5 million. Gosh, that is poor. That is. Is it? Oh, what's his name? It's not Taremi, is it? Is it Azuman? Is it the lad who scored that worldie the other day against Chelsea? But I think it might be Azuman. I think he scored against Chelsea the other day. I was in the pub watching it, and I was like, or was it his teammate? I might have just seen him hug his teammate when that goal went in. But I did watch a bit of the Chelsea Zenit game. That would be decent. I thought you meant that Taremi at first. Taremi. He's got a bit of a buzz about him. But yeah, that'd be decent. The goal return's pretty decent from him as well. I do think we still need a backup striker. And and I don't think any of you are going to argue with me on that one, because I think we're all done with seeing Solomon Rondon, aren't we, up front, lads? we're all done with that. So I'd be perfectly happy to see another player come in. Yeah, he's got like 7 goals and 15 appearances in the Premier League, and the Champions League he's got 2 in 5. And then in the Russian Super Cup, he's got 1 in 1. It's not a bad season for him. Might as well grab him. He did score against Chelsea. We might as well grab him now as well, because if you have too good of a season in a top European league like that for Harlich in Italy, he's now being linked with City, United. You've got to be careful, because if they have a really good season in goal returns like that, while he's still playing in the Russian league, people will ignore it. But once you get to one of the European leagues, you are in really big trouble if big teams coming, are all over you like a rash. And as much as I like the Vlahovic, I do think that not a one season wonder, because his goal return the season before was okay, but like I do think that it's a very rash thing to do, to jump straight in. I mean, Inky's put here about Sakaria. That one. Apparently, I think he's available on a free this summer. I think his contract's due up. I saw when like Bleacher Reports, I think it is, do the top 11, and it's like top 11 free transfers, and it had the depth below it. I don't think it was them actually, because their graphics are normally a lot nicer than this. This was done on like My 11 app or something like that. But they had all the players due on a free. Obviously, Mbappe was on it. Zakaria was on it. A couple of players were on it that I was looking at. A couple of them we've been linked with who were a bit older. But Zakaria, I looked at and I thought he could be a steal, Zakaria. But like 10 million in Gomez, that would be an absolute brilliant. Dennis has put there is some good talent floating around Eastern Europe. I'm going to struggle to pronounce that again. I'm going to go Tais Gov. I'm going to say, I really butchered that. I apologize for that. And Azuman. Do you know what? I know the player. I know I've butchered his name, and I was sorry about that. But I know the exact player as well. Plays on the wing. Very good little player. Again, he's 24, decent age as well to go get him. And that'd be decent. I think to be fair, Dennis is here on the head a bit, but there are certain leagues in the world that aren't getting the sort of concentration. I wish we would look outside of the Premier League and a little bit more outside of the top 3 European leagues, because there's some really good gems hidden around. In like the Ukrainian league and the Russian league. West Ham proved it with Kufal, and I can't remember. The name is completely escaped me. The big fella, CDM, really good header of the ball. No, his name's gone, but you know the fellow I mean. He plays literally most games for it. That's so annoying that my mind's gone blank. But yeah, he's another player that come from an Eastern European league. And he's a very good player. Check. Oh, what's his name? Oh, someone's going to put it in the chat. That's really annoyed me. Souček, Thomas Souček. He's a really good player. Again, came from an Eastern European league. And has handled the Premier League really well. Souček's absolutely dangerous from set pieces as well. I saw Oliver Skip the other day for Spurs. He was the first player I've seen that picks up his run and executed it properly to get the ball out. But his run from deep corners and deep free kicks is incredible. Inky says that he wants James Garner from Forest United. He'd do well. After waiting, I can't see us going for someone like that, unfortunately, because he's too young and there's that much potential. Dennis put Barkley seems like a Ken Wright signing. Yeah. You can sort of start to tell which transfers have got a whiff of which person, can't you, at Everton? Especially now Brands has gone, there's one less person involved, so you can start picking them out now. Mark's put, we have very little spend due to FFP, only second-rate loans in January. Yeah, unless we can sell, but it seems like we're giving out loans of loaning our best players out, so we'll have to loan players in. Dennis has put Zakaria won't come here. And Will's also echoed that, and I can't see us getting him. Yeah, I was just saying it'd be a really good transfer. I don't think we will get him though. I think he's going to go to another good club. I don't think he's coming the Prem though. I think he'll either stay in Germany and go to like a Leipzig maybe, a little step up, or I could see him going to the Italian league or the French league. I think he's got a bit of like a Lyon or a Marseille about him. Personally, I think especially Lyon, they could do with a player like that because they've got Gerson and the other Brazilian lad in centre mid, Paqueta, but they're both a bit more. They're not your defensive-minded CDMs, so I think Zakaria would be good for them. Semi said he'd take Zakaria in an instant. Same, but I don't think we're gonna get that possibility. Inky said he'd love to sign a new contract, but he'd be happy to come to Prem. I think the Prem's still a massive draw, isn't it? Like, it still is a massive draw. Rob's put Inter want Digne for 20 million and Digne for Martinez. I'd take Lautaro Martinez. I'd take him in a heartbeat. He seems like a really good player. He's a really good goal scorer. Steve Case put players on a free for a reason. No one wants them. They're going to cost big wages. I mean, I get sometimes they just don't want to sign. Mbappe's going on a free, and I'm going to beg the statement that everybody wants him. But yeah, I mean, it's better than paying fees for players on big wages, which is what we're doing at the minute. So, I'd rather a Zakaria than a Ramsey. Inky Spot, I hope Digne doesn't transfer in the Premier League. I can't stand the humility of him getting a goal and 2 assists. Dennis has put that he got Vlasic as well. Yeah, West Ham have started to build quite a bit of an Eastern European link in their team, haven't they? And the players they've got as well, performing very, Vlasic scored the other day. Got a friend who's a West Ham fan. He messaged me the other day going, "This Vlasic is good," and I was like, "Yeah, I told you he was good." Like, I knew he was good. He just didn't get game time for us. I didn't see Lookman scoring. I didn't watch Liverpool. I don't dare watch their games because I don't want to run the risk of watching them win. Southern Blues, but if we want Zakaria, we shouldn't have waited until the summer. Put cash or deal on the table now. If we have to sell, we'll have to have some flex on FFP. Yeah, I mean, I think like the others have said, I don't know if Zakaria looks at us and sees anything that he likes about us, unfortunately. But he'd be really good because obviously Alan won't be around forever. And we need a more defensive-minded centre mid. Decore's a bit younger, and I think he'll stay around a little bit longer. But Alan, I think, is 30, 31. Again, I'll double-check because some of these player ages, some of them are near on and some of them have been. He's 30, so, he's got a couple more years left, whereas I think Decore's like 28, 29. So he's got a couple more years on him. But yeah, I'd like Zakaria. Inky's put, if we get Ramsey, I'm going to bang my head till it's gone through my desk and through the floor. You're going to have quite a headache there, mate. You're going to have quite a headache. He's put Sula from Bayern. If we could attract him, he'd be a hell of a replacement for Mina or Holgate, as he's out of contract in January. January's a weird time for him to be out of contract. Big Nos, that's a good right back. I do believe though that at the minute he's in a bit of trouble legally, so I don't think anybody's going to be going in for him right now because he's in a little bit of legal trouble. Martin Cummings has said Ramsey's been a rubbish at Juve. He's past it. Typical Everton signing. Exactly, mate. Exactly. It whiffs of Majiri, that does, and you can't convince me otherwise. That is a proper Majiri transfer. Steve Case put Vlasic good. He started good for us. Yeah, I just don't think he got game time for us. And he was still young. This is like, 3 years on, I think we are now from then. He was young enough. It's not like he was 27 and left us. He was, 21, I think, when we signed him, and he's 23 now, 24 or something like that. I just don't think he got the game time for us. Rob's put, does anyone know how much we need to sell to balance the books? It gets wiped, mate. I believe it gets wiped this summer. So we just need to, and I think it's one of them, like a bit like an overdraft where like, if we solve 20, I think we'd have a bit more space. We don't have to clear it before we can spend. We just need to start like completely. We just need to break bits off, is my understanding. But to pay it all off, Dennis has said here, it'd be 220 million, which is 220 million. I don't even think Richarlison, DCL and Dean would anywhere near scrape that type of money together. Will's put, we could be going into the Dutch league. They have Sangara and Gravenberch. Yeah, the Dutch league, Anthony as well and Neres are still there. They're good players as well. Neres we've been linked with a couple of times in the seasons before. Haven't got him, unfortunately. And Anthony, I think we were linked with the other month because his name rings a bell. Martin Cummins has put Aaron's is a good going forward, but useless at defending. Yeah, his defending is a bit susceptible, isn't it? Although he is young, he's got age on his side, so he could mature. He reminds me a little bit of a Trent. His going forward is good, but his defensive is a bit wary. And if he ends up being that good going forward, that'll completely balance it out. Inky's put, here's a decent deal. Digne for Weston McKennie plus add-ons, that's okay. I'd like McKennie, I just can't see that happening either. I don't think he comes to us. I just can't see him coming to us. DCL, Richie, and Digne would sum up about 140 to 15. Yeah, so we'd still be like 100 mil short or just under. That'd be mad. Semi's put Connor, we've been linked with Anthony Martial from United. God help us. Yeah, I do remember that a couple of weeks ago. I thought that had died and completely died, but unfortunately not. I wouldn't touch Martial either. I don't. It's a bit of a weird one because like when he came, I thought he'd be really good, and they paid a lot of money for him. He was one of the more expensive transfers of a teenager, wasn't he? Martial. I remember when they signed him, he came with such such high hopes. He was going to be the next big thing, and like apparently now he's going to go for so little. And it's just crazy that he's cost 36 million when he was like 19, I think it was. And now I'm seeing him linked with moves away for as little as like 20. Read somewhere Newcastle were thinking of offering 6 million, which is, I don't think United are going to respectfully say no. But it's just mad. And like that's just that's not with the add-ons either. I think United paid more in add-ons for him. That's a mental transfer, that is. Awful deal involved there for United. Inky's put McKennie's only interest is from Leeds and Palace. On paper, Everton are the best club. Yeah, especially because I think Leeds might go down this year. Don't think Bielsa's going to change his style, and their injuries are going to cost them. And I think they just play too expansive football. And I think now they're being caught out. I think they had a good first season bounce where teams were like expecting them to play how you'd expect promoted teams to be, and they caught people off guard. Good run, good legwork, but I think they're going to go down. Loan deal for Van der Beek wouldn't be awful. Rafinha I'd take from Leeds. Martial is what Mbappe should have been. I think when they brought Martial, they thought they were going to be what Mbappe is, and they just never did. They. See you later, Will, mate. Cheers for joining in. We'll probably end the stream in about 4 more minutes because I've got to go make my tea. Owen's put Van der Beek was on Brand's target. No chance we'll get him now. I don't think we will now. I would have took him before though. I would have took him before then. In the summer when we linked with him. I think he's put he's overrated and still at the level due to his Rolls Royce. Owen's put would we take Brereton Diaz from Blackburn. Since he's changed his name, he's been having a really, really good season. I've got a friend who's a Blackburn fan who loves him. And the way he found out that he can play for Chile is through like someone messaged him and was like, I'm playing Football Manager and you've got Chilean nationality and you can play for Chile in FM. It's something you should look into. And he like looked into it. And apparently one of Jeremy Corbyn's sons has a Chilean mother or a mother of Chilean descent. And he's a friend of Brereton Diaz's and said, I can help you. We can go to the Chilean embassy and sort it out. And that's how he got it. But yeah, and now he's on like Pepsi deals in Chile and stuff like that. That's amazing story. And his form is like lived up to the story as well. It's mental. Really, really good. Martin's put, even though Mina's our best defender, he's our sickness. We should cash in and get some more reliable to play games. More than 50% of our games. We are looking to ship Mina on. For me, it depends on the price on that and who we get in, which is again silly comment, a bit Michael Owen-esque comment because that's every transfer, isn't it? Really, when you sell a player, it depends on the price and if we get someone in that can replace them. But our track record goes to show I don't think we always have that ability to go like for like. Normally, it's like for five below. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here though, guys, just because, we talked about all the transfer rumours I think I've heard of in the last week or so. Obviously, I'll be back on a live stream. I'm on tomorrow for a 2021 review, Everton review, hopefully joined by some guests. That will be quite good. Come join us tomorrow for that. That'll be a nice reminiscence of 2021. It's been a bit of a year on it. In terms of Everton, we can all cry together. So yeah, don't forget to join me for that. But thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like the stream before you go and before I go. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 10K. It's amazing, and it's all down to you guys. So thank you so much. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can get your Retro Score t-shirts in the link below and stuff from the Everton Direct. All the best, guys. I will see you tomorrow night. But if I don't see any of you tomorrow, have a lovely new year as well.